I am 33 years old, a county employee, and a freelance columnist for Bakersfield magazine. I moved here in the summer of '04 from Oceano to live with my partner, and a lifetime resident of Bakersfield and an educator in Bakersfield for the past 16 years. Many of you will hear arguments, passionate pleas, and analytical observations for and against the inclusion of gays in the legalities of marriage, but I believe everyone's mind here is made up. And I'm not the caliber of public speaker to be able to sway the masses into an action of my choosing. Many of the people here have already publicly announced their stance on gay marriage equality, and those beside and behind me may be chomping at the bit to reaffirm their views, but one thing is true, we are all here and seeking solidarity for our beliefs. And in that, Stephen and I and you are exactly alike. We love each other fiercely and are dedicated to our lives with one another unconditionally. We have a family, and we are a family, and in this, we are exactly alike. We have friends, and we are friends deep into this community, and in that, we are exactly alike. We work every bit as hard as you do, and we pay the same taxes as you do. We shop at the same stores, bank at the same banks, go to the same events, we eat at the same restaurants, and we do all the same things as our heterosexual peers, but we do this in fear. We fear that the county that we live in will ignore our very existence and our passions and our contributions. We live in fear of the judgment and shame that is cast in false compassion our way by people who will value one over another. And I can imagine my opponents live in fear as well. Fear that the sanctity of their homes and their families might be diminished by extending the same freedoms and rights and responsibilities to us, and I say this is untrue. All of us seek solidarity in our unions and in our homes and in our communities. We, in fact, want the same thing. Tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, I'll be leaving Bakersfield to go visit my family for a week, and Stephen is going to be flying to Nevada for a conference, and we will be leaving Bakersfield in fear. So I stand here before you, my leaders, my peers, and my opponents, and my friends, and my family, my coworkers, and my God. And I ask you to stop allowing the residents of Kern to live in fear. Thank you.
I'm the chair of an organization with a local chapter called PFLAG, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. We represent over 200,000 people in this country with over 500 chapters in this country and numerous chapters in 11 other countries last I checked. The Bakersfield chapter has been around since 1992 and nationally since 1972. Our mission of PFLAG is to promote the health and well-being of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender persons, their families, and friends, through support to cope with an adverse society, education to enlighten an ill-informed public, and advocacy to end discrimination and to secure equal civil rights. And I'd like to mention civil rights. We're not talking about religious. Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays provides an opportunity for dialogue about sexual orientation and gender identity and acts to create a society that is healthy and respectful of human diversity. We have in this country many gays and lesbians, and they deserve the same rights as everyone else. I'm wearing a button today that has the Constitution behind it, and it says, "We the people." That means all of us. And the word marriage means something to us, too. It's not just a word. That's what the Supreme Court here said in this state. It said in New Jersey. It said in Massachusetts. Marriage convenes certain rights and responsibilities legally, socially, religiously as a separate matter. So either make everybody get a civil marriage, or marriage should be available to everybody as a common word that we know. And we respect whether it's a hospital, whether it's an employer, whether it's a religious community or any other group you go into when they say, "Are you married?" They're talking about that intimate relationship of responsibility and rights that go along with that kind of a relationship. And our community here in Bakersfield has people that have been together over 50 years, I believe 52 years, one couple. I also know people out of this area. Many of the people are people of faith and belong to a church or are leaders of a church. or temple or whatever else. So I appreciate that the board is left today with the decision of what we do as a county. It's not the state decision you're looking at, but you represent gays and lesbians and their families and friends in this community. And we're asking that the county, with their policies, do not set up things that discriminate. And I don't like the fact that gays and lesbians are going to be blamed for the straight people in this community that also are not going to be able to have the $30 ceremony. And my guess is if you go outside and contacted any minister in town, and if I'd had a chance this morning, I was going to, at random, contact them. I'd like to see how many are going to do a ceremony for $30. I know somebody else was offering on our website $300. I don't know what the average rabbi or priest or whatever charges, but I think the offering, whether sort of suggested or requested, is somewhere in the neighborhood of hundreds. I think as a county, we need to find a way to do civil marriages for everybody, respect the law, and not be the brunt. I was in LA this weekend of all the reputation that we get up here for being discriminating bigots.
I would just like to voice my support for our county clerk. I respect the position that she's taken relative to a purely discretionary act on her part. I voted for her in order to be able to make decisions on behalf of the good of the county. As I understand it, she's acting fully within the discretion of the law to suspend all marriage ceremonies. I would ask that the court might consider, not the court, but the board would consider potentially other accommodations that the county might present to alternatives to the clerk, such as judges. We have other avenues to potentially address that issue. I just want to say that I believe that elected officials should act within the discretion of what their understanding is, what's in best interest of the community, and I believe that she's done that. And I just want to voice my support as a voter for the right of the people to elect their officials. If we don't like her decisions as running the county clerk's office, we can vote her out in the fall or when she comes up again for election. But at this point in time, I appreciate a clerk that is willing to take a stand for what she thinks is best for Kern County. The other position, I guess my point is, what really disturbs me, and I think that I would ask the board to investigate, there's a number of leaks that have come out in the press. I find that very disturbing, both between the clerk's office and county council, between the clerk's office and other outside counsel. I find that very disturbing that there are information that's available to the press that, as I would understand it, should be confidential communications between the county and council. If there's a privilege there, which maybe there's not an attorney-client relationship, there certainly is between county council. I just think that that's something that the board should investigate and find out where the leaks come from, because I find it very difficult to see that kind of discussion presented in the paper. Thank you.
I'm a psychologist. I was born and raised in Bakersfield. I work pro bono with PFLAG, parents, friends, families of lesbians and gays that were speaking earlier. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take the time to thank you, Mr. McQuiston, Mr. Watson, Mr. Mayburn, and Mr. Maggard for holding the letter of the law. Depending, you can each have your own personal opinion, but that you have held up the law in this county, and I wanted to thank you for that. I think that's very important. I am disappointed in the fact that their marriages won't be held here in the building. I do have a marriage minister's license, and I charge $125, and I'm pretty much standard, so you'll know what people are going to be paying in order to get marriage, have marriage ceremonies here. So something to consider as you look at your decisions regarding how you're going to handle the county clerk's office. But thank you very much and for your time today.